For those of you following the Christian Eriksen collapse at Euros 2020, we recently got word that he is undergoing a procedure to place an ICD over his heart, an implantable cardiac defibrillator. Now, many of you may be asking, what is this device? Why is he getting this device? And ultimately, can he go back to playing football? Today, I wanted to answer some of those questions in this medical update video. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sonam, and I'm a resident doctor specializing in sports and exercise medicine. On this channel, I break down injuries as they happen so that average fans can better understand what's going on. Be sure to like and subscribe if you want to stay up to date. Now, for those of you who are interested in the original video, I'm going to link up my first video I did in regards to the Eriksen's collapse. However, today I wanted to concentrate more on the medical update side of things. So we know in reports that when the team's doctors went in to see Eriksen on the field, he was initially breathing and had a pulse, but quickly lost that. Now, what these doctors did ultimately saved his life. Essentially, the time to CPR and first shock was less than 2 minutes. We know if you can shock a person who has a cardiac disturbance within the first 2 minutes, they have a 90% of survival. So essentially, it was the quick action of these teams which ultimately saved his life. So we've been waiting now for an update as to what condition caused Eriksen to ultimately collapse. As I discussed in my previous video, it is a variety of things, but the thing that we were concerned about for this football star was essentially a heart problem. And unfortunately, because he's getting an ICD, it is likely his heart, which is the main source of the problem. So what an ICD device is, it's an implanted electrode device that is fed into the heart and the heart muscle. And instead of sending electrical pulses for the heart to beat, it sits there and waits for the heart to go into an abnormal rhythm. So here, for example, we have the heart in an abnormal rhythm called ventricular fibrillation. There are two main abnormal rhythms that can kill people and that cause collapses on the field. One is VTAC and the other one is VFib. And I'll put up a tracing of those two up here. Now, what happens is it will actually identify this irregular rhythm. And once it identifies it, it sends a shock, and that shock helps restore a normal heartbeat. And that's what it's doing. So it's really there as a fail-safe mechanism. So what we think happened to Eriksen on the field was essentially he collapsed because his heart went into an arrhythmia. Now, many of you may be asking, why did it go into an arrhythmia? Why did it go into a dangerous rhythm that needed a shock to be restored? Now, this is when we're concerned about things like hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. There are a multitude of reasons why someone would qualify for an ICD device. And usually it's, a really bad heart, really bad congestive heart failure, a previous MI or a heart attack. But in Eriksen, who is 29 years old, these are unlikely the causes. We're concerned more of congenital abnormalities, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, which many of you were commenting on in the last video, and most of us were concerned of, and other congenital arrhythmias and so forth. In terms of what hypertrophic cardiomyopathy is, we're all worried about this thing called HOCM, but essentially what it is this is your normal heart. You have your right side of your heart, which takes blood in and sends it to your lungs to get oxygen in it. And then you have your left side of the heart, which gets the oxygenated blood and takes it to the rest of the body. In hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, this left ventricle is enlarged, and it is enlarged due to a genetic predisposition and structural. So he was either born with this or he developed this over time. This is not something that could have been developed within, for example, weeks or hours of other things. And I know there were many other theories out there as to why he collapsed on the field, but knowing that he needs an ICD has disproven these therapies. And it leads us to believe that he is suffering from a structural heart condition that is predisposing him to dangerous arrhythmias. And this begs the question, can Eriksen go back to playing high-level professional-based football? And usually when you have an ICD, unfortunately not. We want to limit your activity to moderate activity at best, because the problem is when you go into vigorous physical activity, you have a high chance of predisposing yourself to that arrhythmia that can cause sudden cardiac death. And despite even having a defibrillator placed in there, it is not 100% effective. Now, this is going to be one that he's going to need to discuss with a sports cardiologist who's an expert on this field, because there have been recent case reports that maybe this is something that you can consider. At the end of the day, this is going to be a discussion between Eriksen and his family and the medical team, because he's going to need to weigh the risks and benefits of playing with a structural heart condition, which is quite risky versus the benefits of continuing to play football. And to be honest, I think that at this point in time, his football career may very well be over. Once we have more information as to what the medical team decides, I will leave it down below. If you have any questions or comments about this video, please leave them down below. If you like this video and want to stay up to date on videos I do in the future, please like and subscribe to my channel. For now, that's all.